So I'll make a quick demo of Sketch to design a mockup of Airbnb. So here I'm in a new Sketch project, and as you can see, just a white board where I can just insert many shapes. So here on the left, I can see a navigation where I can select all the shapes that I'm going to inject within the project, and on the right, I can see the Sketch Inspector, which will enable me to more precisely position a shape with the X and Y, resize it, change its opacity, its color, its font family for text, and lots of design properties. So it's pretty straightforward. If I want to insert a shape, I can just click on Insert and select the kind of shape I want. So if I want to inject a text, I click on Text, and then I can type anything here, any text. Okay, I've got also a shortcut, which is just hitting T and then clicking, and it's also injecting a text. And if I want a rectangle, let's say, well, I can select a rectangle here, or a circle, or a rounded rectangle. I select it, and then I can just draw the shape within the Sketch project. Okay, when I've got that, I can see the shapes on the navigation on the left, and I can also click to select, or just command click to also, or shift click to group some shapes all together. So I click on the first one, I press shift and I select the second one, and I can, if I want, I can group these two shapes within one shape. So once I've got something here and I click on it, on the right I got the inspector and I can modify lots of things. So on a text I can modify the font size, let's say 50 pixels for the font size. I can modify the color, let's say I put a red text, and I can also change the font family, the font weight, the opacity, and lots of things. Same is for the rectangle. If I select it, I can change the fill color, I can change the border color, I can change the opacity, the border radius here, and lots of things. So it's sufficient to know that to actually build an actual mock-up of anything. So let's start the work for Airbnb. So instead of using a shape, I'm going to use an artboard. So an artboard is convenient for making a mock-up since you've got different options for standard device. So let's say a mobile or a desktop application. So here I will just use, let's say, the desktop HD format. And here I've got my artboard. So if I unzoom a bit, hitting like Command minus, okay, it's Command plus to zoom again, I can see my artboard here, and I can rename it on the left. Let's say it's the home page. Okay, and so it's convenient because it has the good dimension of a desktop. So it's convenient to use an artboard instead of just a rectangle. So I'm going to first work on the layout of my page. So let's start with the navigation bar. So the navigation bar is just, let's say, a rectangle. So my artboard, the dimension is 1440 pixel width, so I will just respect this size for the nav bar. And let's say my navigation bar is 60 pixel height, so it's like that. And I can just also position it so it fits the layout. Let's change a bit the color. So if I select my artboard, I can add a background color to my artboard and put, let's say, a light gray for the background color here. And for the navigation bar, let's say I want a white navigation bar, and I don't want any border, but instead I will just put some small shadow. And for the color of the shadow, I will put a more transparent one, so it's more subtle. Okay, so here I've got my navigation bar. I can zoom a bit to design what's inside. So on the right, I will just put, well, let's say an avatar picture here. And I will just get rid of the border of the avatar, and I will inject maybe two links. So let's say messages. And it's much too big, so I will just say, let's say 20 pixel at that. Okay, where is it? It's there. So I will put that here. And so that's one of the first link. And let's say I've got a second navigation links, which will be, let's say, travels. Okay, so it's Airbnb. You can have messages from other travelers, or you can have also your travels. Okay. So here for the right part of the navigation bar, if I unzoom a bit, on the left part I will just cheat, and I've prepared a logo, so I will just inject this logo here and reshape it so that it's smaller. So let's say maybe 100 pixel width, something like that, and I will just center it here. So here it's good to have the same space on the left and on the right, to have a kind of container within the navigation bar. So I will just adjust that. Okay, so here it goes. I got my navigation bar, and here it's a good case to actually group all these forms, all these shapes, and make one reusable component. So I will select the rectangle, I hit Shift, I keep Shift, the Shift keyboard, and I will select also the logo, the first link, the second link, and the avatar picture. And so you see on the left it's all selected, and I can group all these shapes and name my group. So I will call it navbar. Okay, and it's convenient because now I can just copy paste and reuse my navbar if I need to. Okay, let's do a quick footer for the layout. So it's really straightforward. It's a rectangle. Again, it's let's say 1440 pixel. Let's say it's 150 for the height, and it has no border. It is dark like that. And then I will just put some navigation, some footer links. So I can inject a text here, let's say about. I will put a white text and a bold one, so I will make it bold. And below I will just put contact us. What else? Let's say press and FAQ. Okay, maybe these three ones I want a different design, so I will make them light, a bit smaller, let's say 18, and put some opacity like that, so it's create a contrast with the main header. Okay, so I've got this. I can just select all this guy, group it, and call it like nav or footer link section, let's say, and I can just maybe duplicate this group because we have no time, so I will just make it quickly so that we can put it like that. Okay, so it's centered. Okay, so I center my links, and again I can select my rectangle and my sections, group it, and that will be my footer. Okay, so here we have a first artboard for the home page, and within this artboard we've got the footer and the nav bar. So what's convenient is then I can select my first page and copy paste it, and so now I've got different pages with the same layout of my website, so which is really convenient to work. So there will be the home page. Let's say we want to design also the page with the results for the flats in Airbnb, and the show page showing the detail of one flat. But I will just do the home page here, but you understand that you can design your different views of your application. So for the home page, let's start with the banner. So for the banner, I need first to select a nice picture. So I will go on pexels.com because we have high resolution pictures, and look for an apartment picture because it's Airbnb. So let's say I want this one. I can choose the dimension here, so I will go for the large one because the other one is much too big. I will download it, and I just drag and drop it within my artboard, and here I can resize it. So we know the artboard is 1440, so it will be like that. And here I can try to position it where I want. Okay, so just below the navbar. So the issue here is that the picture is much too high. It's filling all the space. So for that we need to mask this picture with a smaller rectangle. And that we can do that in Sketch by creating a mask. That means that one shape is going to mask another shape. So here I will inject a shape, which is a rectangle, with the dimension I want. So 1440 and like that. Just two, or maybe smaller, like that. And then I will select, okay, this rectangle, and by hitting Shift, I select also the underlying picture. So I've selected both the rectangle and the picture, and I can click on Mask. And that means that the rectangle will apply as a mask on the picture. So if I open my mask here, well, I can shift my picture within my mask, but we see that the rectangle is applying as a mask on the picture. Okay, so let's do it like that. And now we can try to put the text and the search bar, the search form, sorry, on the banner. So maybe this picture is too contrasted. So whenever you have pictures that are too contrasted, the good option is to put a rectangle above your banner. So here we don't see the picture anymore, but we'll just make a dark rectangle, and the trick is to apply some opacity. So actually it's killing a bit the contrast of the picture, and that's good if we want to put some text above. Okay, so let's inject some text. So I don't remember the wording of Airbnb, but that's something like live here. So it's smaller, so I need maybe like 60 pixel, or it's too big. Let's say 40 pixel. So that's the catch line, so I will just align it with the logo, with the container here. And below, I will say, well, experiment, rent a place from a local, experiment a city as if you lived there. Okay, something like that. And for sure, I will put a smaller paragraph of text, like 30 pixel or 20 pixel. And I will put some contrast, so I will basically change also the font weight. So I will put maybe that here, and I will put maybe a lighter font weight like that. Okay, so I've got my text. Maybe I can group all this into a banner because I can reuse this banner otherwhere. So I can select my different text, my mask, all this, and again group that, and I will call it my banner. Okay, so I got my banner, and now I need to put my my search form for finding a flat. So the search form is straightforward, it's different shapes. So this time I will not select a rectangle, but a rounded rectangle, this one. And let's say like that here. So I keep the border, but I want to fill the rectangle with white. Maybe I will select it 150 and just 50 pixels for the height. Okay, so it's the first input of my search form, and maybe I will put the border radius of, let's say, 4. Okay, and now I need a placeholder inside, so I will inject the text. Let's say Paris. So here the text is white, so I need to change the color to a light gray, and also make it a bit smaller to 20 pixel and something like that, and change also like that. Okay, so that's my first input of my form. I can group these two guys into something called input. Okay, it's simply an input. And I can just copy paste this input. So first we need to say the city, then we need to specify the check-in, then we need to specify also the checkout, and then we need to select the number of guests. So I will say, let's start with a placeholder like 1 guest by default. Okay, and then we have the button. So the button is like an input, just a rectangle, the rounded rectangle, but the difference is the background color. So here, well, if I open this input, well, the rectangle should be, let's say, red. It should not have any border, and also the text inside should be search, and I will just change, I will center it and put it to white and maybe to bold so that we can really see the text. And here I got my banner. So again, same logic. I've got my different inputs of my search form. If I want to reuse my search form, I can just select all this input and this button and group it and name it search form. So I've got my home with the banner, the search form, the footer, and the navbar. Okay, and we are nearly done. We just need maybe some suggestion here. So discover. Okay, let's change the color because we don't see the text. And let's write discover the world. And here I will make it a bit bigger, so 40 pixels and bold. And I will center it. Okay, so I'm a bit lazy to find actual pictures of different cities like Lisbon and so on, so I will just put some rectangle without picture. But you could select picture and make the mask technique I showed you on the banner. So I will put the first rectangle like this, and the second one here, which will be, and let's say here that will be Lisbon. Maybe it's a bit small, so I will put 30 pixels. So here I just put some suggestion for traveling in different cities. So in Lisbon or in Paris. And I will build kind of a mosaic of pictures of different cities. So below I will put maybe a different size. Let's say Amsterdam. Amsterdam, and well, all the city where there is Le Wagon. So I will put also. So you need to double click to select the shapes inside Sao Paulo. And for the last one, I will put Berlin, for instance. So it's really about drag and dropping shape, writing text. So it's no big deal to make an actual mockup in Sketch, using Sketch. It's really not complicated. So, okay, just align the margin a bit. Okay, so that's a rough idea of the page. So again, here I can select all these shapes and text and group it to call it, let's say, suggestions. So it's suggestions for cities. Or I can call it a mosaic or something like that. And here it goes. I've got actually my homepage for Airbnb with the search form. And I've got a layout that I have reused for other pages. So now I can do the same work to design my results page with the map on the right and the flats on the left, and the show page for each apartment.